I'm the president of Center Hill Neighborhood Association, where we have our monthly meetings every Thursday. Well, excuse me, every first Thursday of the month. And let's see. So let's get started. If you could put it on the next slide. The next slide will show the agenda of what we're planning on doing tonight. Call to order, acceptance of the agenda, purpose statement that we always like to share so we're all on one accord and unified. Approval of the minutes of last month minutes, where we do it a little differently now that we're virtual. President's report, special guests, which we will have here. The elected officials will speak, and then we have special guests from lead, or is it led? Led?
It's lead.
Lead.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then we have some zoning information from Church Street. And then after that, we will have the report of the committees, unfinished business, new business, and announcement. And then we will adjourn hopefully within the hour. So every special guest is allotted 5 minutes with to share their presentation, and then 5 minutes to allow the questions and answers to our neighbors in the meeting. All right, so let's see, next slide, please. So the purpose of Center Hill is to maintain our soul and character and ethnic diversity of the community. We have people from many different walks of life, and we also have new residents that are less than a year here in the neighborhood. And we also have legacy residents who have lived in the neighborhood for 30 to 50 plus years. So we're a good group of people, and we want to make sure that we are treating each other equally and fairly. And so that's what this purpose statement is for. Next slide, we will go ahead and approve the meeting minutes. So the way we do our minutes at Center Hill is that we record our meeting, as you saw at the beginning of the meeting. And once we record the meeting, our communications team will put it on the website, and you can visit our website at centerhillatl.com/news/category /meetings. And Jason, if it's possible, could you drop that link in the chat if anyone is interested? And you can also visit Center Hill website, go to about and see the meeting. So that's how we capture the meeting. So every month we put the previous month's meeting, so it's available for you to watch. And may I have a how do I want to say this? I always get this kind of weird. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Ben Norman makes a motion to approve the minutes as loaded on the website in the video minutes.
Second motion.
Thank you. All right, next slide, please. President's report. Okay, so I'm really excited about this. The president's report is with Center Hill. As you know, as I mentioned earlier, I'm the president of the Neighborhood Association. And this is the time where I give you an update on what I've been doing since the last time we met. And one of the things I'm very super excited and proud about sharing is I want to give you a book box update. And thanks to the office and her team, to Commissioner Nally Hall, we were able to build 5 of these book boxes that you see here on the right last Saturday. And Commissioner Nally Hall came out, and as a matter of fact, she painted those little yellow flowers on the box. And it was about 6 or 7 of us, very good opportunity for us to engage. But the book boxes are free and exchange ideal concept. They're little free libraries where the books were donated by Fulton County Library, thanks to them. And the books were built by Life Cycle, and also the paint was donated. That actually saved us, if you haven't seen it on the Facebook page, about $1,500, because if you wanted to get it registered nationally with the little free libraries, it costs about $300. So we were able to bring that to the community. Also, this Monday, I wanted to share with you all that, you know, after the passing of 14-year-old JJ Wallace, it really, JJ Wallace, who was a 14-year-old Douglas high school student that died on the way to school one morning, it really shook our community, and it really created advocacy for me, which led me to my role that I'm currently doing at Atlanta Bicycling Coalition in advocacy transportation. And a part of that role is I'll be serving as a 2021 AARP Georgia and American Walks Georgia State Walking College Fellow. And what that means is for 6 months, it's a fellowship where I learn all about walking, the disproportionate in communities with low income, similar to ours, and all that kind of stuff. I'm given a mentor who is Miss Eunice Glover, who's very well known in MPUI and also the committee, transportation committee for Atlanta Planning for APAB, Atlanta Planning Advisory Board. Excuse me, they meet once a month. And so at the end of that fellow, we will work together to create a walking plan that I could present back to the community to help us get better, to really help us to communicate with the politicians of what's going on in our areas, particularly in low income communities where you find situations like children and elderly that's most affected from poor sidewalks. So this is really to gain more exposure in that capacity. And then lastly, before I move, I wanted to share, sign the petition in same respect of Donnelly Hallowell. Could you copy and paste that? Could you copy that link, Ben? I want to encourage currently the support proposed changes for a safer Donnelly Hallowell. The goal for this is slower speeds down Donnelly Hallowell. And that's the idea around this to start like a road diet. If you could click on that link and I'll share more. So this really gives, as last time we talked, this really gives an update on what's been going on along Donnelly Hallowell. Basically, it gives, are you able to click on that?
Oh, yeah. You want me to go? Okay. I didn't know if
Yeah.
you're talking about them. There we go.
So it takes you to the Atlanta bike.org Donnelly Hallowell page, and it gives an update. So it starts off with Jermaine JJ Wallace and the situation that happened there. And if you scroll down, it gives an update there. And then it tells you a little bit about Donnelly Hallowell being on the high injury network, which is one of the top 5 most dangerous highways in the city of Atlanta. And then you'll see media resources right here, where if you scroll down a little bit and come back to that, scroll down, keep scrolling, all the way down to the bottom. See here, there's this, scroll up, sorry,
Okay.
right? There's media resources, scroll up a little bit more.
Mhm.
These are all the updates and conversations that have been going on as far back as September 2019 when JJ Wallace died. And you can continue to get the updates on what's been going on. There's more resources here to tell you more about the High Injury Network, Georgia Department of Transportation and their safety action plan, and all the resources that you need to educate yourself on what's going on. And then if you want to scroll back up, it gives a really good history of, stop right here, go down one more.
Hey guys,
Where it talks about for decades residents have decried the lives lost and advocated for safety. This is largely bringing the history. If everyone could please mute your phones, please. But this really gives the history about what's been done and what is continuing to be done and where it's going on. So as you scroll down at the bottom of the page, or you can click it at the top, there's 26 people that signed the petition, 27, and we definitely need more than that to really, if you live down Donnelly Hallowell or drive down Donnelly Hallowell, I strongly encourage you to sign this petition and represent the community. I know there's 16 people on the call. If we can increase that signature to 16 more, anybody's good with math, that would be fantastic to really get the support that we need, that we're here, we're right on the precipice, we're right on the edge of making change. And I need your support. I need your help to sign this petition, and not only sign it, but share it on your social media, share it with your friends, share it with your neighbors. Get this conversation going, because this is the only way that we're going to see change and save lives along Donnelly Hallowell. And it's been the most effective way, as you can see. So, all right, Ben, thank you. If you can go back to the PowerPoint. So that's my president's report. And next we have our elected officials will have the floor. I think I saw Dustin Hillis was in here.
Hey, good evening,
Hey, how are you?
Rolanda and everyone else. Congratulations on your fellowship. It's a great thing to be an advocate for, as I have been ever since I started working for Felicia back in 2015, and glad we are getting some needed changes. I'm waiting to hear back from GDOT, number one, on that whole project. It is kind of officially official now because they put it on their website, but there's not a lot of information there yet, just because it's in, I guess, preliminary engineering. The other thing I'm following up on is the one pedestrian crossing that's been installed but hasn't been connected yet by Georgia Power. So I need to get updates from them on that, plus the other two that are going to have to have right-of-way acquisition by the state. So looking to get updates on those. Other things, it is still budget season at City Hall. We're working on finalizing the fiscal year 22 budget, which our fiscal year in the city starts on July 1st and ends on June 30th. So we have to have this budget finalized by the end of this month, but we're hoping to approve it this coming Monday. Some highlights, due to COVID, our revenues are down somewhere around $80 to $120 million. So a lot of our federal money that you may or may not have heard that everyone across the United States is getting, including Atlanta, is going to go to plug budget holes to avoid a property tax increase for that's about 12 years now that we have not had a millage rate increase and have done a full millage rate rollback, and the same thing will happen this year. The downside of that is we won't have as much money to quote unquote play with to get some needed infrastructure improvements around the city, but hopefully we'll be back next year with where our revenues will recover from that. The Center Hill detail, I think I mentioned that a month or two ago when I was on, has been completed, where I go around the neighborhoods and look at certain city service issues, code enforcement, missing street signs, stop signs, potholes, you name it, watershed issues. And so those were turned in. So now I'm almost done with all the other neighborhoods. So we're going to go circle back around and follow up on the issues we turned in to make sure those are progressing like they should. Another thing you may have heard about, the city had a partnership with Georgia Tech where they did a streetlight audit across the whole city. And as we expected, there were lots of issues identified with missing streetlights. And there was a connection drawn, as many of course suspect, that crime occurs in darker areas. So over the next, it's a phased approach. I think this year, in this fiscal year budget, there'll be a few thousand more streetlights funded, because these are, they're all about 80% plus of the streetlights in the city are owned, operated by Georgia Power. However, the city has to pay that bill to have them installed and for the electricity that they use. So over the next few years, we'll be seeing more and more streetlights where there needs to be some. So looking forward to that, because as you know, I'm a big advocate for that. Speaking of pedestrian deaths, we had you don't know my history in doing audits on streetlights. There was a pedestrian death a few years ago on Jackson Parkway, where a senior from Manor of Scott's Crossing was killed. And I went out the next day to kind of look at the area, and I knew there were no sidewalks or anything like that. But when I went down James Jackson Parkway, there were, from Bolton Road down to Donnelly Hollowell, there were 27 streetlights that were there, but they were inoperable. They weren't working. So looking forward to that and getting better coverage in the city. So that is about all I have, I believe. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them here, or if you need to type them in the chat, I'll be on for a few more minutes and we'll answer your questions. But thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilman Hillis. And next, any questions for Councilman Hillis before we move on?
All right, thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. I see Anita Harris is on the call. Would you like to speak on behalf of Commissioner Nally Hall?
Of
Anita?
course. Good evening, everybody. I don't have too much to update. First, it was great to see many of you this weekend as you painted your book boxes. I do have a video that Fulton County Government Television Division did create. I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat for you all. It came out really great. But just an update from the office. We have finally received our first set of funding from the American Rescue Plan Act. So we just received $103 million of the $206 million that in total that we will receive. Still no direct plan of action on how that funding will be allocated yet. Though, as I've said before, we should certainly see funding go into our nonprofits, our small businesses. We are certain to see some mortgage relief this time. Mortgage relief is not something we were able to do with the CARES Act, but the guidelines in this pot of money are a little looser. So we should be able to assist with actual homeowners and their mortgages this time around, and some food insecurities as well. So as the partnerships with our nonprofit organizations and other community partners come about, and I have the contact information for resources for the community, I will shoot that over to you all so you have it. And I think that is really all from me today. I am not going to stick around like I normally do. Today is my birthday, so I'm going to go and hop out and have a drink on the belt line. But I am here with you now. I think by now you know how to contact me. I did put my information in the chat for you all. But please give me a call, shoot me an email if between now and next month you all need anything from Vice Chair Hall and the team.
Thank you so much for getting things started with us with the book box and all that you do. And happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
We're here if you guys need us. So like I've said in the past, you may not think that your need is county related, but just toss it in my lap anyway, because you'll be surprised at how we are able to connect and assist with the resources that we have, the people that we know. We're often able to bridge a lot of those gaps. So whatever it is, as off the wall as it may seem, say, hey, Anita, do you think that you guys can help? And together we can usually come up with a solution. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you. I'll see you all next month.
All right. So, and I would like to make a request. If it's possible that you can be on camera, please join us on camera. It's a lot funner experience when you can see each other's faces and reactions and all that kind of stuff. So if it's possible for you to be on camera, please join us. Please join us. Just be sure to mute if you aren't, settled in or what have you. All right. So next, any other elected officials in the room?
There I am.
Hi.
I figured it out all on my own.
Okay. Are you an elected official or?
No, I'm Eric Schulman. I'm a guest, but I didn't know how to do the video. I just saw a button that I clicked.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm technologically dangerous.
Happy that you're here. Happy that you're here. I was like, is there a new elected official I don't know about? Okay. All right. Anyone else before we move on to lead, correct? Is it lead?
That is correct. It's lead.
All right. So please take it away. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Kelly Stewart. I'm the co-founder and executive director of LEAD, which stands for Launch, Expose, Advise, Direct, and the LEAD Center for Youth that's located in the West End community.
I'm CJ Stewart, born and raised here in Atlanta, and also a product of the Center Hill community, and currently now live in Cobb County, and very hopeful to be able to get back home into Center Hill in the future.
And so LEAD is a nonprofit organization, a 501c3 nonprofit that has been around for over 14 years now. We are a partner with Atlanta Public Schools. Our mission statement is to empower an at-risk generation to lead and transform their city of Atlanta by teaching Black boys how to use the sport of baseball to overcome crime, poverty, and racism. So we are a sport-based youth development organization that uses culturally relevant year-round programming to meet our boys from a space of where they are culturally, historically, language-wise, to teach them how to use the sport of baseball to overcome crime, poverty, and racism. We serve about 350 boys in Atlanta public schools from 6th through 12th grades. Our motto is we scout the counted out. What that means to us is Black boys who are underperforming for whatever reason in the areas of grades, attendance, and behavior. So the fact that we do use the sport of baseball, a lot of people think that we're out trying to recruit the best athletes. However, a lot of our boys who are underperforming in those 3 student achievement areas are really good athletes. So it just happens to be that way sometimes. But we are here to be a resource to APS. We are here to be an intermediary, so to speak, before a child is being sent to alternative school to see if we can keep that from happening and use our program as a form of intervention. Our sweet spot is prevention. We like to keep boys and young men who are out of trouble, but we do have a sweet spot as well in intervention, where if we have a youth who's gotten off the right track and is on the wrong track and needs some redirection, that's how our programming is used in the system. And something else I was gonna say.
And so we just got connected in that we just reached out to you all and wanted to just let you all know that we are a resource, and then very quickly got in contact with Miss Addie Calhoun. And there's a young man right now that we have quickly started to work with. And so he's now entering our program. So as Kelly said, we actually have a baseball team. Again, we're sports-based youth development, but we have a team at John Lewis Invictus. So there, we're not trying to get the kids that already have a very good path. We're focusing on kids that are struggling with grades, attendance, and behavior. We're able to work with those boys because when I was at Center Hill and Grove Park Elementary School, I was one of those boys.
And we are making our rounds with the various MPUs that we have programming in. So we have 8 direct partnerships with middle schools in Atlanta Public Schools, JLI being one of those. And we have at large, so to speak, relationships with the high schools in APS. So Doug is one of our high schools as well. And we're making our rounds because we just reached a milestone in our organization where we've been able to hire some salary staff. And we actually have the capacity now to do the things that we should be doing as executive leadership, which is making sure that the community knows that we are here and that we are doing great things. And so we can start and deepen partnerships that we already have.
That's awesome. Thank you for your service and giving back. And, you know, it's a really strong story of not forgetting where you came from. So definitely benefit that. We wanted to bring you here so we can talk so we can collaborate as a community and maybe think of ways and ideas that we can work together. So I want to open the floor up to if anyone have any questions or thoughts and ideas on how we can work together.
I have one question or idea. Question is, have you worked with the NPUs presented at the NPUs, such as NPUJ and NPUG?
We have not been able to work with any NPUs, just from a capacity issue. Most of our work has been done with the school social workers on site at the schools to help us identify young men who are underperforming in those student grades, attendance, and behavior. So that's been how we normally recruit. But we have not worked with NPUs directly.
It's just been presented to the NPUs. Same type of thing that you're doing here, because we're under them as far as now, they're the umbrella for us. So
okay,
you get more community.
Yes, ma'am. And so when working with MPUs, what does that look like in addition to making an introduction and coming to meetings and sharing with you all who we are? What processes do y'all have in place?
Well, when we work with the MPUs, one of the first things that is said at the MPUs is, did you go back to the community? So I think the first place to start is coming up with ideas of what we can do here in Center Hill. And then what happens is, as you present, then we can already say from Center Hill is that we've already had a discussion. We support this 100%. So this is the opportunity for us as Center Hill, where, we can talk about the neighborhood MPU later, but while we're here, let's focus on ideas of if you know any students or anything like that, or programs. Does anyone have any thoughts on what we can do here in Center Hill? A thought that I have is, we're trying to capture the history of Center Hill as things are changing, and you have a really strong story of becoming, just an amazing story, elementary school all the way to pro sports. Maybe that's something that we can amplify in building awareness towards your organization by having like a small little write-up about you. And then, I think you've even already had one already. So some kind of way we can share with our community, like in our emails or Instagram or social. Any thoughts on that from our communications team, Jason or?
Yeah, well, I guess my general question is, what would you like to see from Center Hill? Like, how can we support your organization?
One of the main things is, the boys that we're serving at JLI, we've got a group of boys that are trying to hang in there, but at the school level, some may be put out of the school. So being with us is helping them. But when I think about you all, I think of a fan club, a support base. We're not even talking about money. We're talking about, here are the things that we're doing with that team and being of support for them. I remember when I was a kid playing at Cascade Youth Organization, just being a kid, just seemed like everything was exaggerated. It could have been 20 people in the stands, but by the time I got back home, it was like, Mom, it was 100 people there at the game. That was just a big deal. So me as a kid wanting to play professional baseball, all of my Little League games literally was kind of rehearsal for that. And the community made me feel like a major leaguer when I was a kid.
So it sounds like, spreading awareness about your organization. We have a small but active group of people in the community. And I think Ms. Addie in particular has, wide network and is well entrenched in the school system. But, just as by way of referral and, what coverage and awareness that we can provide.
And we can share, I can share community events that we do through the year. Like, we do an event called the Safe at Home game, where our high school ambassadors play against law enforcement officials in the city from the sheriff's office and APD. And we do another event called our Inner City Youth March, where it's a junior ambassador middle school event that starts off with the march. Again, our programming being culturally relevant, helping our boys understand the relevance of marching and what it has meant to the African-American community as it relates to social justice. And it culminates with the all-star game for our middle school junior ambassador program. So, as I share those events, if you all can be a presence at those events to make, our boys feel supported and loved, that'd be great.
Yeah, and we're always looking for content for the website. So if you send us the information on the event, we'll post it.
Okay, awesome.
I'll send you the general email.
Okay,
Chat.
thank you.
And this has been maybe, I'm just going to throw this out for the Center Hill neighborhood group, but maybe we could plan a game day, where we go to one of the games and we just all see who, who wants to go and attend and kind of blow it up a little bit.
That would be awesome. And for you, what we do have aspects of the game. So if you've ever gone to a Braves game and they have little programs throughout the game. And so, we could have one of you all throughout the first pitch for, before the JLI game or something like that. We have lots of different ways to get the community involved. And like I said, now that CJ and I have more capacity, we can really activate those ways more.
Fantastic. So it sounds to me like we can offer support by attending your events and also being like a word of mouth type of support, and possibly maybe doing like some type of story, sharing the history, like a article of some sort that we could place perhaps on our website. And we can also share it on our social media channels, because our social media, Facebook is very active. We have over 81 we have over 80 members, 81 to be exact, on our social media. So we're happy that you're here. If there's any, do we have any other questions before we wrap up and move on to the next guest?
I do want to say too, as far as referrals are concerned, if you know of any boys or young men in the community, like I said, we go from 6th through 12th grade. And if you want to refer them to us, that will be another way to work together. We have a process that we have to figure out if our organization is the best fit for that young man, or if we need to connect him with another one of our community partners.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your service and all that you do and bringing it back to Center Hill. All right.
Well, thanks y'all for having us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Could you go back one slide, Benjamin, please? One more. I'm just trying to get to the agenda. There we go. Next, we have Eric Schulman from 578 Church Street is here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me in your meeting. I was asked to speak about what we're doing over on Church Street. I run a real estate company, and part of our goal is to help clean up neighborhoods in town Atlanta. So we bought 578 Church Street. It was really run down. It was totally trashed out. People were dumping all kinds of things on the property. And so we've, went through the process of getting our permits. We determined that the lot was big enough, and at one point it was a double lot. There was there's an old apron for a driveway. So we cleaned up the separate lot and we applied to split the lot in half. So our goal is, once again, to help clean up the neighborhood. So that's what, our goal is in doing business in the Center Hill neighborhood. And I appreciate you guys having me at your meeting.
Okay, so thank you for sharing. Any questions or comments?
Hi, Eric. This is Taryn Bell. I'm the one who reached out to you. Thank you for coming. My first question is, do you all plan on working on any other homes in Center Hill?
I mean, we'd love to. I mean, I try to do business. Oh, how old's your baby?
He's 2.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
We try to do, I've been in business for over 20 years, and I pride myself in trying to do business right and help the community, because, let me be totally candid. I'm in business, I'm for profit, but you can give back by helping clean up. So yes, if I can find other properties, yes, we'd love to.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is Miranda on the call? Because you mentioned a lot about cleanup, and Center Hill has a very active beautification committee that meets monthly to actually clean up. And we wanted to know, a lot of the companies or businesses that are in the community, they give back in some sort of way back to the neighborhood.
Sure.
So where they're not just, just here in business. They're also trying to give back.
Yes.
Is Miranda on the call to maybe speak on that a little bit? And maybe we can talk about ways that you can support in that area when you talk about cleanup.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Rolanda. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because we do have people, obviously investors coming in to buy homes and flip houses, but it would be nice to actually have people invest in the community in other ways too, not by just flipping homes. So I think that if that's something that you're interested in or your company is interested in and you're willing to help us, it would be nice to just create another partnership.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Some of the ways that could benefit our community, and this is just a thought out there, knowing that you're a developer, we constantly have fallen trees constantly in our community, and some support in that way would be very beneficial if possible, in terms of chopping it, and we can put it on the corner for a bulk pickup. That's just a thought in terms of different ways, not only in addition or not only to our monthly cleanups and things of that nature, just throwing out some ideas of ways that our community needs support. Any thoughts on those two topics that we brought up?
Man, I would love to help. Get me an address. I can send a team over there to help cleaning up.
Yeah, I can put my address. This is Miranda Blaze. I can put it directly in the chat. So if you will just send me an email, or if you want to put your email in the chat, I can also email you, whichever works better, and we can go forward as far as like beautification efforts.
Okay. I mean, I totally believe in one hand helping and washing the other hand. So, yes, giving back.
Yeah, and I'm actively looking for a tree stump to be moved at what is it called? Public Works that came, a tree had fell on a adjacent abandoned property, and they cleaned up the tree that fell on top of the house, but they left the stump there. And that's preventing me from repairing my fence, because there's a big stump that's broken. The tree has broken up the fence. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there if that's a possibility as well. But these are realistic examples of ways we need support in our community. And you talk about giving back. So I would be happy to give my address if that's something that you would consider as well.
Okay, sure. I will attempt. Remember, I'm technologically dangerous. I see the chat button, I'll click on it. But if I'm unable to do that, then Taryn knows how to find me via email.
Okay.
Eric, as our MPU, as we work on our comprehensive plan, something that we have really discussed is sustainability, and what we want our community to look like within the next 5 years. And sustainability is something major. So with that, we've discussed green infrastructure in the form of rain gardens and rain barrels. And so I'm just throwing that out there as you guys develop these properties. Green infrastructure is something to keep in mind as we work towards a sustainable community.
Okay, no problem.
Any other questions towards Eric?
Yes. I have a question for him.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that you are trying to subdivide 578 Church Street
Yes,
into
ma'am.
properties, and I was wondering, are there any water-related problems associated with that property?
Well, I'm working with the city as far as going through what they want done. So we will stop that. They want sidewalks. So I'm gonna put sidewalk in. I'm gonna redo the curb on the street. So it'll help with any water runoff. But I'm definitely working with the city to give them what they want to make this, to do this right.
Yeah, thanks, Miss Addie. I had similar sort of concerns. It sounds like you're going to be going up to the NPUJ zoning committee, and I'm just curious what the plan is for the property.
Well, I'm working with Alex Deuce, and he has a full list of what I need to do to help divide it and do what they want to not have water runoff.
Well, just in general, you said one of the properties has a structure on it already. Is that going to be renovated, and then the other property will be an additional single family home.
Yes, the other 578 is being renovated. It's almost done as we speak. And then I think we're gonna get new addresses, and then, yes, we'll create another lot. And then, we'll see what we're gonna do there.
Okay, so there's no
There's no
like I said,
immediate plan.
no immediate plan. In your ideal world, would you do new construction there or hold the lot or?
Yeah, I mean, in the ideal world, new construction.
Okay,
So you'll be going to the NPU next, saying that you spoke with Center Hill about the lot, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Whatever I need to do to help.
all right. Well, thank you for your support. Does anyone have any other questions before we move on to reports of the committees?
Thank you, Eric, for your support and for your willingness to come.
Thank you. And hey, I figured out how to do a chat.
Well, it started with the camera, now you got the chat.
Oh, boy.
You're moving, almost at
Yeah.
the end of the pandemic.
Oh, boy. About time, huh? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Same to you. All right, so next, if you would move on to the slides to the reports. Thank you, Ben. Beautification. I don't think we have any slides for Miranda. I apologize for getting that late to you all. But if you wanted to talk on that, that'd be fantastic, Miranda.
We have slides.
Oh,
We have a slide.
there we go.
Okay.
Hi, so good evening. Yeah, we just did a big cleanup a couple of weeks ago off of Jackson Parkway. It was really Jackson Parkway, walking to Donald Lee Hollowell. And we partnered with West Side Riders, Fulton County Commissioner Natalie Hall's office. I think we partnered with Senator Horacia Tate from District 38. Keep Atlanta Beautiful, and then Kerry Park and Almond Park also just happened to show up and really show out. They gave us a lot of support, which was very appreciative. So it's a really good collaborative effort. I feel like we had a ton of people out there. We had a really good time. So I'm looking forward to more partnerships on that level. I don't know what we're going to do next, but we'll probably have another cleanup in July. And so we'll post information as soon as we have it. We'll post it on social media and send out an email, but be looking out for that. There is a cleanup coming up next Saturday. So not this Saturday, next Saturday. And I can post the date and share the information with you guys on social media and via email, but it's with NPUG, I think. I cannot remember actually, but it's Kerry Park and Almond Park. And so these were the folks that really came out to support us a couple weeks ago when we had our big cleanup on the May 22nd. So if you guys are looking to help out some of our local or our neighboring communities, that would be a really good opportunity, especially because they were so kind and generous to support us in their efforts. In our efforts. And so I will give you that information as soon as I have it. I'll post it out. But yeah, so that's a cleanup that's coming up next weekend. That's all I have as far as cleanups go. And then I think the next slide is Adopt a Spot, but we're going to table that. So we'll revisit that at another time once we have more information about what exactly Donald Lee Hollowell is going to look like.
Thank you. Any questions to Miranda before we move on?
What are the dates for it's next weekend for the next cleanup?
Yeah, I can post the dates in the chat.
Okay. And then Ben, you've got a cleanup for Center Hill Park as well, right?
Yes, this Saturday at 10 a.m. And I posted that in the Facebook group page earlier this afternoon.
Okay. All right, next.
Yeah, so I got a new baby, so there's not a lot that I've been able to get done. But we Tay has been onboarding as communications. He's been in charge of the Instagram account, and we've got t-shirts. So if you know, I think doing a photo contest with t-shirts is a good idea. So if you want to take photos, and I think just general, like anything like food, if you're out on the town, you know, Center Hill neighbors going around Atlanta, what do we do? I think that's fine. It doesn't have to be like in the geographic area of Center Hill. It's, you know, it's our lives and our neighborhood, and like what life is like for the people who live here. So, you know, I think Miranda sent photos of the cleanup, and you know, we're out and about doing stuff. So send your photos along. You can tag us on Instagram. You can send a direct message on Instagram, or you can send them to the email. Other than that, huge shout out to Erin, who isn't here. She was able to score a bunch of brand new yard sign stakes. So I think she got 100 of them, if I'm correct, which saves us like $100, or saves Mike $100. It's also recycling and great. And then she also, in my historian role, turned me on to a Facebook group of born in Center Hill in the, and like raised in Center Hill. I forget the title of it, but it's got about 300 members of people who grew up in the Center Hill neighborhood. So I'm really excited to get involved in that group and start asking questions around and collecting the history of the neighborhood. I had seen Tay on earlier, but I don't know if he's still on anymore. No questions? Okay.
Next committee, zoning.
All right, so the comprehensive plan for our MPU, I'm waiting for Gerard to send out the information about the next meeting, in which I will get that to you guys. Other than that, no updates. The last meeting, I sent that information out late to you guys. My deepest apologies about that. So the next one, I will make sure I send it out to you guys ASAP. I sent out 2 emails. The first one was, they're both through the listserv, and the first one was just telling you guys we're gonna have a meeting about the comprehensive plan. Did you guys receive that? This was last week sometime.
I don't think so.
Okay, so I'll make sure that you guys get the information about the upcoming one. Gerard did say that we received an extension, but he still said we have to turn it in as soon as possible. So when he gives me the information about the next meeting, I'll send that out to you guys. And that's all I have.
Extension for what? Could you
For
repeat
the
that?
comprehensive plan.
Are they looking for feedback from us?
Feedback, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely something we want. That's a big conversation across the city right now, is the comprehensive plan. And we definitely want to give some insight or have the conversation about what we would like to share on behalf of Center Hill, because there's other neighborhoods that are sharing, not particularly in our MPU, but other MPUs are talking to, they have an idea of what they want. So we definitely want to make sure that we are speaking up on behalf of Center Hill. I know for one thing that I'm definitely interested in is talking about the dangerous and the safety measures along Donnelly Hollowell. I'm not sure if others have other topics that they would like to discuss. So this would be, any thoughts on that while we're here before we move on?
And Donnelly Hollowell has definitely been discussed. Ben, I think you brought up Donnelly Hollowell our last meeting, right?
Right. Yeah, we're trying to make sure we address Donnelly Hollowell in our MPUJ, and talk about the development, having access to the park, A lot of things were brought up and discussed on that.
Okay, great.
That was going to be my question. When we talk about a comprehensive plan, what exactly are we talking about? Like urban development or roads or all of it?
All
It
of
could
the
be all
above.
of it, all the above.
All the above, what our, kind of like our vision, what we want for our community within the coming years. That's why I mentioned sustainability, that's major. Density is another buzzword. So all of the above.
Yeah, the plans, if you look at different MPUs over the years, some MPUs did a really weak job and they just maybe had a few bullet points. And then you have some MPUs that they were writing, looked like they were writing their own plans for how to develop out very detailed. So it's really up to the energy that the MPU has to invest into their own CDP plan. As far as how robust you want to make it, it's just up to the MPU and how much energy they want to invest into it.
Right. And I think something we realized immediately, Ben, is that we need to be as specific as possible in naming exactly what we want for our community. What we have in place right now, what they last did for MPUJ, it's general, which is not helpful at all. That
Right.
leaves a lot of room for people to do whatever they want.
Mhm.
So when I get that information from Gerard, or if Ben, you may get it before I do, but we'll send that out to you guys.
Awesome. So be thinking about that, what you want to do that's very descriptive and detailed that you would like to bring to the community. And it'd be a good time to, do it in respect to your committee, So that's a good place to start for us. And we can provide that to MPUJ to, include. And regardless if they don't have a lot of information, we know we have a lot of information. So basically what I've experienced over the last 4 years in this community is if you don't speak up, it's just not going to happen. And you have to be consistent and you have to continually be beating a dead horse about the same thing. Because it's about frequency. People have to hear the same thing a bunch of times before they actually remember it, so. All right, moving on. Any other committees next? Would that be you, Education Committee? So this is Rhoda's. Are you on the?
Left. And she has to leave at 7.
Sorry, I dropped for a second. I had a quick question on zoning. Taryn, do we need to issue an opinion for Eric's project?
My question too.
That is a good point. We
Oh.
didn't do it while he was on the call either. Is he still on the call?
We didn't have to. We can let him know later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need to make sure that we're agreeing, how do we want to, what recommendation do we want to make to the zoning committee, the MPU zoning committee?
Taryn, do you want to lead that discussion?
She might have. Oh, is she there? Okay.
I'm so sorry, I stepped away. Can you guys repeat real quick? My apologies.
I'm wondering, do we need to issue an opinion on Eric's project?
Do we need to issue an opinion to the MPU?
Right. What's
So
the
what
neighborhood
happened
stance?
is that, so this was going straight to the MPU. Gerard sent this to me a few weeks ago because Elizabeth sent it to him. So it was going straight to the MPU. So Gerard came to me and he said, did you know about this? And I said, no, Center Hill doesn't know anything about this. So that's when I reached out to Eric directly. So it was brought up in our MPU in which Gerard just said, Center Hill is meeting with the developer directly.
And that's generally how it starts. And we work very well as a community in doing that, where anytime a developer comes from a particular area, they make sure that the neighborhood association has an opportunity. So what we want to do now is have a decision by the MPU, Taryn, that you can speak up and say, hey, he came to the MPU and we vote on this particular. So this is the time for us to have the discussion about it. I'm very pleased at one of the things that Ben might know, can speak highly on is as an MPU, we encourage developers to come back and invest also into our neighborhood. And so he suggested that, clean up with Miranda and also supporting with the trees. I'm very pleased with that type of support of using his resources, but we can't use that as, he said he was going to do this, so we're going to support him, but it does show that in goodwill that he's willing to give back to the community. So that's my thoughts on that. Anyone else?
First off, he has permits, which is a plus. There's a house I'm sorry, my son is getting a piggyback ride. There's a house right across the street from me. They've done great work, but no permits. A lot of people think you can come into disadvantaged neighborhoods, you can do what you want because no one's going to hold you accountable. So they have permits, and they were more than happy to meet with us. I think those two things say a lot. Before this slips my mind, and Ben, you could kind of speak to this. We discussed this in our last meeting when we discussed the comprehensive plan, that we have to have verbiage that states somewhere that developers or anyone who wants to come into the community, they have to meet with the neighborhood association first.
Yeah, we were talking about needing to codify that in our MPUJ bylaws that says that our zoning committee of the MPUJ would funnel it back through the neighborhoods just to make it a permanent process. Because right now it's just at the discretion of the sitting chair of MPUJ and the sitting zoning chair. So we've done that for the last few years as a practice, but it's not codified in our bylaws. So we talked about working on the bylaws, which we're in the process of doing with MPUJ, to make this a forward-standing process that any decision would be routed back through the neighborhoods first.
Yeah, and we've been doing it, like you said, we have been doing a really good job, but I like the idea of having it in writing. But that's been pretty much the nature of it since we started as a neighborhood association. We definitely received support. And one of the things, people always go to Grove Park, and Grove Park are definitely supportive in us and saying, did you talk to Center Hill? So that's definitely supportive. So do we want to vote on where we want to support with him? Do we offer our support as
one more thing?
Okay.
Rolanda. So the other thing that I want people to begin to think about, because this was kind of big with the comprehensive plan, where do we want high density? Do we just want it on Donnelly Howell? Like, do we want it in do we want it do you want high density on your block? Like, where exactly do we want high density? So thinking about this project, he's taken a lot and he's splitting it. He said originally 2 homes were on it, whatever, but he's taken a lot and he's splitting it. So, that's adding, that's increasing the density. So that could be a positive for some people. That could be a negative for some people. What exactly do we want Center Hill to look like? So I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, that's a good point, because this density is always an issue when it comes to relating to getting our grocery store that we need, although that Microsoft is not necessarily promised, but are definitely considering and supporting us in getting a grocery store. But that density is definitely a conversation as it relates to groceries, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, and affordability too. I mean, it's supply and demand. So him putting another single family home on a lot, it doesn't really increase our density too much. So it's pretty negligible. But Taryn, I think that the point you raised is excellent about where do we want to have density? Because I think it's not a question of if we're going to get it, it's when, and having some proactive plan about that is really worth discussing. Maybe not this minute, but yeah, as part of our plan.
As it relates to 578 Church Street, I don't think he told the truth. There weren't 2 properties there before, but we will hear a lot from developers, and they're really willing to come and do, and then when they get what they want, we don't see them anymore. But as far as it relates to 578 Church Street, I think it would be suitable for them to subdivide the property. Because I've known the property for years. So I would like to make a motion that we accept his request for subdivision of 578 Church Street.
And I second that motion.
Do we want to vote, or is that something we want to motion? Seems like it, but there's only
Yeah.
four of us on
Well,
the
you
call.
technically you vote after the motion seconded, so
Oh, okay.
you take a vote.
I second the motion.
Yeah.
And
I
Jason,
second.
So I guess all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
In the chat, let's see, where's the raise hand?
Or is
Yeah.
anyone do
Yeah, or-
unanimous consent? Does
Is
anyone opposed?
anybody opposed? Sorry, everybody's.
so it's by common consent, basically.
So there was 1, 2, we should probably take note. This is like something we want to have documented. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 yays.
I can't raise my hand. I'm presenting,
5.
so yes.
Yeah, me as well.
6. Okay, so I have 1, 5, 6, 7 that is for it. And any opposed? Any no opposes and any abstentions? Oh, wait. GWEMP opposes.
That's Gwen Lee.
Oh, Miss Gwen Lee opposes. And
learning.
No,
She
no,
just learned to raise her hand.
no, I just didn't get in to vote. I'm not
Okay.
opposing, I'm voting.
8, that's for it.
Mhm.
No opposings and any abstentions. All right, fantastic. All right, thank you, everyone. So we offer our support to that at the NPU. That is fantastic. All right, any other committee information?
Was Rhoda still on?
She had said in the chat that she had to.
Oh, okay, all right, so
Leave
let
early.
me go.
But there's some information in the some slides.
I could read it.
Let's see.
Sarah Michelle Geller, Jason's Linton of TikTok, will be keynote speaker at National PTA Convention. Many celebrities have attended National PTA Convention. I think I saw Jack Nicholson once. June 17th through the 27th, register today by website. And Georgia Board of Education passes resolution of teaching race, calling slavery deviation of founding principles. Thursday, June 3rd. This resolution talks about racial guilt and that a person isn't racist by virtue and shouldn't feel responsibility for past actions. Is there any more on that slide? Okay. Launch, Expose, Advise, Direct, Inc., which is a program, no summer program available for students in Center Hill or Grove Park. And Fulton County libraries are currently open. No in-branch programming will not take place at this time. And study room meetings, room use will not be available at this time as well. That's good to know. And our Boys and Girls Club is currently open and the new YMCA is not open yet. All right.
I actually did this slide here.
Okay.
Trying to make sure she covers what is being said, but the no summer school program for the students in Center Hill and Grove Park, that's because Woodson Park it's a charter school. And they are not allowed to participate with the APS summer school program. So our kids get nothing for this summer. So that's why we talked about the libraries being open. I guess you have to take them to the library. You don't have to have an appointment for the library, but it is limited. You can get 1 hour usage there. The Boys and Girls Club is open. I'm not sure what they're offering in the YMCA. Of course, it's not open, so it's kind of limited for our kids this summer. That was all.
It's
Thank you.
Abby. This is Timmy. I don't know if y'all can hear me. You referring to the YMCA over on Donald Lee?
Yes.
Okay, when I went to knock on their door a few months back, I forgot to put it on the Facebook thing. I was told that it wasn't an active YMCA, it was only an early learning center.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah,
It's not a public place.
No,
right. It's not.
But in the context of education and summer programs,
gotcha, okay.
Right. This next slide, it's zoning committee. Tamara provided some important community contact resources here.
Yes, and Jason, I think I'm supposed to be putting all of this on a Google Doc, right?
I don't know.
I think that's
I'm
what we
I'm
said.
usually a little squirrely about putting people's contact information online. Although any of these public officials, I think it's already online, so that'd be okay. A logistical, we might. This is more for the chairs. We might want to have like a folder that's shared on Google Drive that everybody has access to. That we can. That way we don't have to keep sharing individual documents. We can just share the entire folder.
I think we were talking about putting this on the website as a resource. Maybe if we can just copy and paste and just have it as a page embedded on the website, easy as like a resource page.
Yeah, this looks like all publicly facing information. So yeah, absolutely.
That'd be just as easy. It's just a copy and paste.
Yeah, I'll just grab it from this slide. So yeah, no worries about that, Taryn. I'll get it from here.
Thank you. Next slide, please. More information. Good Samaritan has offered to provide us some books for our book boxes as well. Next slide, please. Environmental Committee chaired by Ben Norman.
So we have this coming Saturday in 2 days will be cleanup, Friends of Center Hill Park from 10 to 11 a.m. We'll meet at the pavilion, the basketball pavilion in front. And what we'll do is I'll have bags and some tools. And what I think we want to do is walk around in the front part where the splash pad is and around the pavilion with the basketball court and try to do some cleanup in that, and then walk around the perimeter of the ball field and just see if there's any trash. But we also can be making a list of things we need to work on. I know I had submitted a big work list the last time we had our park visit, but I was told back then because of COVID, they really didn't have time and resource to get out there to work on any of those work lists. But this would be a good time to walk around and see if any of it got done. And if not, I can submit some new requests. But there was quite a few things from our first visit. But I want to try to, I know when it rains, mud runs down on those basketball courts. And when it dries, it's just, I mean, you can never play basketball down there. So one thing that we need to do is think about working with Park and Recs to create some sort of landscaping. They'll keep that runoff from going down on that. But I'm gonna bring some flat blade shovels. Maybe we can kind of clean that off a little bit and make it where maybe some kids can bounce a basketball on there. So look forward to seeing you there. I'll be there. I'll get there early, but 10 o'clock on Saturday. And then also I'm working, I want to have a meeting next week with the Georgia Autobahn, and they have a wonderful website and a program to do things such as identifying birds and bird watching. And I think that would be something just wonderful to activate for Center Hill and give some resources there. So I'll have more after next week that I could be sharing for our next meeting. Thank you.
All right, to participate in the environmental committee, please contact Ben. That's his email and contact address. Who's all going to be there this weekend? I'm planning, I just put going on the Facebook. So anybody's going to be there? Let me get this.
I will be.
Okay.
I'm planning on being there.
All righty, thank you.
Planning
Yep,
on it.
I'll see everybody there bright and early. Thanks.
All right, next slide, please. Thank you, Ben, for your service. Finance. Aaron's not here today, but I'll be more than happy to read this. Membership dues support the agreed upon interests of Center Hill community. As a reminder, dues are $1 monthly or $12 per year for each household and can be paid online at centerhillatl.com. The total balance of Center Hill Treasury as of June 2nd, 2021 is $779.87. All includes membership dues, t-shirt purchases made as of June 1st. And I want to point out that we did those book boxes without having to come out of our, spending from this, and this could be used for other resources. So that's something to think about, when you're planning to do something for the community, what ways, what resources can we tap into, like with being with the grant with the $15,000, which is a huge, what resources can we get, like Miranda does with getting the trash and everything like that. So just keep thinking in that capacity, and we can continue to grow and not take from our monies.
I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I paid the $15 dues so that I could get the little decal thing. Do they mail it to you, or what happens? I got my t-shirt a while early when we first did t-shirts, but there was some little decal thing. So maybe I didn't do right. I thought I was paying my dues, but it was like $15 and then you get the little decal.
Jason, could you speak to that?
I don't know what decal you're referencing.
Some little thing on our website. Maybe isn't it? Can anybody tell if I paid my dues or not?
I saw yours to. Sorry. This is Miss Deborah.
Yes, and I think this is like my second time paying. I paid like I was at the last little meeting. I was like, and y'all mentioned it. I said, oh, let me go in there and do that. So I thought it was like a little circle thing with Center Hill in it or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I see that you have paid twice. I'm gonna refund you that 15. Miranda also paid twice.
No, but I thought the first time was for the first year, and then this was for 2021.
Well, it was it was in September, and Miranda's was in September as well. Either way, you want to slice it. If you want to pay in September, you want to just pay early.
Just consider it early payment, I guess. No need to send it back. That's just extra.
Okay. Yeah. No, we.
And I got one T-shirt. Do we have other colors besides? I think I got like the little teal green looking one or something.
The only color we went with was the blue.
Okay, I got that. Okay. Yeah, just let it be an early payment and just apply it. So that'll be 2021, right?
This year, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
And yeah, I think maybe the member image is just an image for the item online.
Oh, okay, no problem.
But having stickers is a good idea.
But just to clarify, there's no decal with the purchase. It's the T-shirt.
Yeah, the membership is the membership. For the year. And there's there's no physical object that comes along with that.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. All right. Any other questions about that before we move on? Fantastic. Next, unfinished business. We don't have any unfinished business. I think we've updated everything. Next, new business, non-standing committee, Bylaws Committee. I think this is Miss Addie. Is that you, Miss Addie, in this section here?
I will be there if you want me to.
No, I don't know who added this. I thought you might have. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you had it earlier in your report about the Bylaws Committee. So I just added this, what we had talked about earlier. And it's just simply saying that we need to, the main thing right now is we need to establish a Bylaws Committee. And we need an odd number of members, preferably 3 or 5. And then the chairperson will appoint the chairperson. The president will appoint the chairperson of the committee. So do we have anyone now who would like to be a part of the Bylaws Committee? We go on further. Another slide and you see exactly what the Bylaws Committee would need to do. So in July and August, as we said, the chairperson it should be bylaw committee and not the nominating committee. But we'll meet and make recommendations for the changes in July and August, and then in September, we would present the changes to the full body. And then in October, the full body would vote on the bylaw changes. So it's just from June through October that we'll need to work. So are there any members now who would just love to serve on the bylaw committee? So would you raise your hand or call out your name, put it in the chat, stand up and yell out, whatever. We really just want you.
Ben Norman, I'll volunteer to be on the committee.
Had your name already down, Ben.
All right, just making sure.
Thank you so much. Deborah Williams. Deborah, is that your hand raised?
No, that's not my hand unless I just forgot to lower it when I voted a while ago.
Okay,
I
well,
recently
here's
had
my-
knee surgery. I don't want to do anything. I'm kind of laying around trying to get healthy. Is my hand
Okay,
down now?
wow.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just had knee surgery last week. I'm just trying to recuperate. I'm not even going back to work till August.
Okay. Well, it's gonna be virtual anyway.
I know, but I'm just lazy like that. I don't even, you see how you put my picture up while we're on Zoom. I'm laying in the bed with my knee propped up.
Well, I hope you get well soon.
Do your
Anyone,
therapy.
anyone else wants to be on the
Kimberly?
bylaws committee?
Kimberly, Gwen, Miranda, anyone else?
I think Miss Rhoda volunteered in chat as
Right.
well.
Rhoda's there. I volunteer.
I'll work with someone.
That's Miss Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anyone else? That gives us,
I'm happy to assist, but I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to bylaws.
okay, well, we'll work through it together. How about that?
That sounds like a plan.
Okay, well, that's 5. So we have 5, Madam President.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. So before we move on, I think that's it. I want you all to be thinking about the executive committee and considering the role of president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Am I missing out anything? I think that's it. So whichever those roles are, just be thinking about that as we will be voting in November, because we will not have a meeting in December. We're off for the month in December for the next year. So this year is coming to, we're halfway there. So be thinking about, what service you can serve in that capacity, particularly to those that are currently serving in other areas. What ways could you represent the community as the president, as the vice president, and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk more about what the president does, what the vice president does, and all, what we all do. So you can get an idea as we get closer to that time. So maybe that's something we want to incorporate in next month's meeting as we want to begin thinking about that. Is anyone thinking about anything at all in that capacity? Or you still need to mull it over? Just wanted to get your feedback a little bit. Well, I can definitely want to encourage someone to think about president chair. You definitely is the public facing person for the neighborhood. And not only that, it has been definitely an educational experience for me. I've attended so many NPU universities, so many meetings over the last 4 years. I feel like I've gone to college for neighborhood planning. So I definitely want to encourage, if you're interested, and it wasn't even something I was necessarily interested in, it's just something that I grew into, and one thing led to the next. So I strongly want to encourage everyone to consider those positions. All right, next slide, please, Ben. All right, save the dates. June 22nd, MPUJ meeting. Please be sure to attend the MPUJ meeting at 7 o'clock. The meetings are starting to be a lot more efficient, where we end at a reasonable time. Before, we were ending well after 10 o'clock. I think this meeting, we probably ended at 8 or 8:30 last month in May. And so it's very important. MPU meetings is basically the opportunity where elected officials come back to the neighborhoods and share what's going on to the community. And it's a good opportunity to give feedback. And that's one of the things that, you know, if you notice down Center Hill, there has been a lot of cleanup on Center Hill. And that's largely because we spoke up in Center Hill against code enforcement. And lo and behold, they came shortly after it and cleaned up. But you definitely have to be in the meeting to speak up about the issues. And you have everywhere from the police department giving a report on crime. And sometimes it's a lot better than what you may think that's been presented in the news, what our local precinct shares with us. Also, you have the fire department that gives a little bit of advice. You have code enforcement, you have public works, all the offices come in, and it's your direct line to get more information. And so also save the date is July 1st, the first Thursday of the month. Wow. So July 1st will be our next Center Hill meeting. And if you haven't already, encourage your friends and neighbors to follow us on Center Hill ATL Neighbors and visit our Center Hill ATL website, as well as our Nextdoor site and our newly Instagram site. So it is now 7:52. Any questions before we close?
I have a question, Rolanda. It's Miranda. So is there like any notes or anything that you can like read or prepare for the NPUJ? Because I just feel very lost in those. Like I don't know a lot of the verbiage at all. It's very new to me. And so I feel like I really don't even know what's being discussed or how to ask questions.
I think my advice would be, that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked that. My advice would just sit in for first couple meetings, and you'll start to see the pattern of what's happening and what's going on over time. And then you'll begin to form your own questions. Also, another resource is NPU University, and it has a plethora of classes. Like I'm taking a class next week, well, I think at the end of the month, to learn about legislative and local government and how it all plays in and all that kind of stuff. So it's just one of those things that I think you'll learn over time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Or-
And are the NPU University classes just available for anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're free and they're really great resources. They have classes on zoning, all kind of topics that's related to our community. They might have classes on beautification, or I don't know. I haven't looked at beautification, but it could be a possibility. Let me see if I could find a link and then put it in the chat for you so you
Yeah.
can look through their curriculum.
And also, this, if I could add, the MPUJ agenda is posted on the city's MPU website probably 3 or 4 days before our meeting. And you can download that before the meeting and see the agenda of what is planned on being discussed. If there's any zoning voting matters or anything like that, you can see ahead of time before the meeting starts. And it'll give you a chance if you want to Google what an address is and pull it up before they do their presentation and learn a little bit more. That's helpful as well.
So as
I'll
you
do
can
that. Thank you.
Yeah, as you can see in the catalog, they have the courses, and it's really good because at the beginning of the book, it tells you what is an NPU, you know, how did it all come about, you know, with Mayor Maynard Jackson. And then it gives you a map of what the NPUs are from A to Z. And it also gives you like a list of them. So NPUJ, it'll show all of that. Let me see what else. I'm just looking at the courses. So they have a chairperson training and orientation course, elected officials orientation, parliamentarian procedures, you know, all type of courses. The legislative process is the one that I'm going to be taking in June. There's a Community Leadership Institute. So really good, and it's all free. So it's really good. Oh, look, they have a bylaws clinic, guys. If you guys are interested, that's coming up in July. Maybe that's something that you guys can take as you handle the bylaws.
Great.
Yeah,
taking
I'll look
the,
into that.
I'm taking the code enforcement class. I'll be in it tomorrow, Saturday, and I was in it last Saturday when we did the cleanup. Well,
Oh, that's
it
good.
meets every other Saturday, 9 to 12.
I don't see
Five.
anything specifically on cleanup or anything like that, but Miranda, I can definitely see you doing something in Community Leadership Institute because you definitely have rallied many people to do the dirty work, which is very difficult to do. So you definitely have some strong leadership skills in that
That's Miss Addie right there.
in that
No,
capacity.
it was Miranda.
Hey,
All right.
Miranda, I'm sending out an email about the Center Hill Park cleanup. Did you say that yours was this Saturday as well?
No, so that's Ben's, and that's the environmental committee cleanup at Center Hill Park, which
Yep.
park cleaning is a little bit different. And then next Saturday, the 12th, is the Kerry Park and Almond Park cleanup.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll put those two together. Where are you organizing that, or is that part of their neighborhood cleanup?
No, that's part of their neighborhood cleanup that, if anybody wants to join, they can. So I'll pass on the information that I have.
Okay. Do you know where they're meeting? Off the top of your
I
head?
don't yet. Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. So I'll send this out, and then I'll send out a separate one for that one.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
This is so awesome. I'm so excited to see where we've, grown as a community. And I know for a fact, at least the last 4 years that I've lived here, and just to see the amount of support and the growth from getting $15,000 to getting new traffic lights to having regular beautification from when we did a survey like the end of last year to find out what people wanted. And the overwhelming majority of us said that we wanted the beautification. And now we have that regularly, to having Taryn doing zoning and keeping us abreast. This is just, I'm excited and very proud of the growth that we've accomplished as a community. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to do next. So that's all I have for this meeting, unless, we're going to end at 8:00. If you want to hang out a little longer, that's definitely an option. And otherwise, I'll see you in the neighborhood.